Hi all, today I would like to talk about one strange and half-forgotten game on the legendary PS1 console, in the creation of which the great and terrible Bruce Willis himself participated. This is a game called Apocalypse, which is a 3D action shooter with platforming elements. The game was released back in 1998 on the PlayStation 1 platform by developers from Neversoft and publisher Activision. In the future, Neversoft would become famous for several successful franchises, such as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Guitar Hero. But today we'll talk about Apocalypse. In this game, the developers from Neversoft approached the matter with the utmost seriousness. Hollywood superstar Bruce Willis was invited to portray the main character. Motion capture was done in the studio, and Bruce also recorded several lines for Trey Kincaid's voice acting.
Apocalypse, by Activision.
This is the name of the main character of the game, to whom Bruce Willis gave his appearance and voice. A few words about the plot. A mysterious scientist known as the Reverend, having mastered ancient powerful knowledge, resurrects the four horsemen of the apocalypse: death, plague, war, the beast. To plunge the world into eternal chaos and suffering, his former student, privy to all the plans of the scientist, Trey Kincaid, refuses to participate in the crazy experiments of the Reverend, for which he ends up in prison, accused of treason against the principles of science and sentenced to death. Realizing that only he can stop the mad scientist, Trey Kincaid makes a daring escape from prison and sets out on the trail of the terrible atrocities of the Reverend to put an end to universal evil forever. So, at the beginning of the game, Trey Kincaid must escape from prison on the Paradise Island where the Reverend imprisoned him. He fights his way through security posts, overcoming long corridors and collapsing bridges. Trey picks up a variety of weapons, which he skillfully uses throughout the game. Dodging the annoying light of the watchtower spotlights, he finally finds the long-awaited way out of prison. But a huge tank gets in the way, and our hero doesn't give it a chance.
Suck on this!
Having stolen a motorcycle, Trey ends up in a sewer, the pipes of which should lead to his city. Along the way, we fight various mutants, zombies and other evil spirits who get in our way.
Feel the burn, kid?
Having passed dangerous fire streams, Trey descends further and further underground, where there are no less dangers than above. At the end of the level, a boss awaits us, a giant alligator with a large army of mutants. Let's tell him goodbye. Having escaped from the sewers, Trey hopes to get into his former laboratory to find his cache of weapons. But it seems he has taken the wrong hatch.
Nice polygon.
At the same time, all the news channels are reporting Trey Kincaid as a renegade scientist who has escaped from prison, who is armed and very dangerous. Time is short, we need to move forward. The pressure from the enemies is intensifying. Aviation and heavy military equipment have already been thrown against Trey. Our hero tries to escape using an air taxi, but everything goes wrong again. Having with difficulty destroyed a lot of enemy military equipment and infantry, Trey still manages to get into the laboratory.
What a mess.
But the first dangerous enemy stands in our way. Apocalypse Night, Death.
I am the fire. They're all over, they're everywhere. And the fires of damnation.
Having defeated the first horseman of the apocalypse, Death, in a difficult battle, Trey blows up his former workplace so that no one will ever be able to recreate the atrocities of the Reverend. Miraculously surviving the explosion, Kincaid finds himself on the city rooftops. But there is no time for a break. The minions of the Reverend are not lagging behind a single step.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
There are more and more enemies. Trey's weapon doesn't stop for a second. Everything collapses and explodes. The enemy is ready to do anything to stop the former scientist. To reach Trey at the top, enemies use jetpacks. It's getting very dangerous. The ground is literally disappearing from under your feet.
Go! Lock and load!
Having caught his breath a little, Trey sees the president's address on television, in which he reports the death of the Reverend and calls for stopping the fugitive scientist responsible for this death at any cost.
I know just the place. Pay a little visit on my ex.
Realizing that a deadly hunt has begun for his head, Trey decides to hide for a while with his ex in a rock club, which is located right in the cemetery.
And now?
However, simply entering the club will not work. Trey is forced to fight his way through dark crypts and crowds of zombies, destroying everything in his path. The living dead chase Trey all the way to the club. And finally, having passed the last barrier of the living dead, the hero finds himself in a rock club, where he sees his ex-girlfriend performing on stage.
It becomes warm when I think of your flesh shredded.
But it's not Mary, but the second horseman of the apocalypse, the plague. Having withstood the onslaught of the plague on the dance floor, Trey finds himself face to face with a dangerous enemy on stage. The result of the battle is Trey's victory. Having carefully examined the strange weapon of the defeated plague, Trey sees the logo of a military plant. Taking the chief engineer by surprise, Trey Kincaid learns that the plant processes orders coming directly from the president. This information is not enough. Trey is pursuing the head of the enterprise to get more answers. The military plant meets Kincaid with mechanized machines, combat robots, and high-voltage electrical networks. Things get tense with the appearance of moving platforms that can destroy Trey at any moment.
Jump!
Oh shit. Having dealt with the already familiar enemies on jetpacks and jumping onto the high-speed elevator, Trey is finally at his goal. The factory boss tries to escape, but Trey's well-aimed shot ruins all the fugitives' plans.
Boom!
After the ship crashes, the true appearance of the cowardly bastard, the horseman of the apocalypse, war. This is perhaps the coolest and most dynamic boss fight in the game. If you agree, thumbs up, guys. Well, if orders for weapons came directly from the president, it's time to visit the White House and find out the whole truth. But the path to the White House is not easy. The stronghold of security is maximally protected. And soon our goal appears on the horizon, the White House. But they won't let us enter the Oval Office so easily. All the last forces that the enemy had left were thrown to stop Kincaid. But it's all useless. Overcoming the pain, Trey reached the one who will answer all the questions. And this is not the president.
Domestic policy.
This is the last horseman, the Beast. This fight will decide everything.
You pathetic little man!
Lock and load.
The Beast is defeated. It turned out to be our friend Reverend. Trey does what he has to do, but at the last moment Reverend manages to transfer his spirit into Trey's body. Or not. No one knows. Well, my personal opinion is that the game is great. This is an excellent run and gun for its age, which keeps you in suspense until the very end. Crazy dynamics, cool boss battles, all this certainly adds a great atmosphere to the game. If the graphics don't put you off, I recommend checking out this game. Thank you for watching. I will be glad to receive comments and likes for the video. See you.